Hello, my name is Matthias, and welcome to the FPL Scope and the weekly wildcard draft for Game Week 22, where I try to select what I think is the best squad to have in Fantasy Premier League going forward in the next few game weeks and beyond. And I'm going to present this squad to you like I always do, and if you're new to this channel, I do it a bit different than most content creators. I present to you each of the 15 players, with the number one player that I present to you guys being the player I think is the most important player to have currently in FPL. And then the 15th player is the last player that I picked in the squad, basically the one that I'm the most unsure of having in the squad right now if I were to wildcard. But speaking of that, I don't think Game Week 22 is a good wildcard window. I think you should, most of you guys should wait for Game Week 24 to wildcard. Because I think that is when we'll get more information on the new managers at Chelsea and Man United and how they will affect the players. We'll have all the players back from African Cup of Nations, and we'll also have basically the January transfer window over and done with. So I think we'll have more information, a lot of more valuable information for Game Week 24. Also, when it comes to cups and stuff, it's going to get some more information in that way. So I think it's better to wait a couple game weeks if you really feel like you need to change your team around. But if you're still adamant that you want to change your team straight away, you have like 7 injuries and you need to use a wildcard, then this is the squad that I would select. And also, I think even if you're not wildcarding, I think these videos are quite important to you, or not important, like nothing is important in Fantasy Premier League, but I think it is quite helpful at least to know which players are the best ones to have currently and which players you should look to bring into your squad right now. And that's what I'm going to try to present to you guys right now. And when it comes to the most important player to have currently, it's a player that most of you guys have probably already, and it is Erling Braut Haaland. But of course, if you haven't had him the last few game weeks, you're probably doing really well because he's been blanking, and for 15.1, that's just too much to handle really with him. But he still has great fixtures in my opinion. Man United away with a new manager who knows what's going to happen there with Michael Carrick in charge now, officially confirmed as the Man United boss. Could go either way. Could be like a 4-0 easy win for City. Could be like a 2-1 win for Man United. It's really tough to know, but we know that it's more likely that City is going to be the victorious team here rather than Man United normally. Wolves at home, still a good fixture, and the Wolves are looking a bit better now. And Spurs away. Spurs have been really bad lately, so I think that's going to be a good fixture as well for Haaland. So he's still a good player, still good fixtures, of course, still the best captaincy choice in most game weeks, even though he has been blanking left, right, and center, but there hasn't really been any other player that has been picking up the mantle and been a good captaincy option either in the place of Haaland. So I think he's still the most safe captaincy option, and I think he's still the best player in the game right now, even though he is quite expensive and has blanked a lot lately. But the goals will come with Haaland. We know that is usually what happens in FPL, even though he didn't score now against Newcastle either in the cup. And he's gone now like 5 games in a row now, including the 2 cup games, without scoring, which is a bit worrying, I guess, but I think he's going to come around and score some goals pretty soon. So he's still number 1 in my books with the fixtures coming up for Haaland. Number 2, Gabriel, simple choice. He basically has gotten, what, like 9 points per game since he came back from injury. Plays for the best defense in the league. He's one of the main reasons for that. He is the most goal-scoring defender you can pick in this game. He's pretty good for DEFCON points as well. Bonus points is also a plus with him. He just has everything you want in a defender, and he was criminally underpriced at 6.0 at the start of the season. That's like one of the first things I noticed with the prices when I looked at the prices when they were first announced. I was like, how's Gabriel 6.0? And then like, yes, his DEFCON numbers weren't as good, and that's probably why he was a bit lower, and people were just down on Arsenal at the start of the season. But I wasn't. I've had them as the Premier League champions before the start of the season. So yeah, I think Gabriel is just been amazing. He's been in my squad whenever he's been healthy, and he's been delivering every single game week basically. So yeah, Gabriel, simple choice at number 2, especially with some pretty nice fixtures for a really good Arsenal squad, of course. So yeah, Gabriel at number 2. Number 3, we have Cole Palmer. He has also fantastic fixtures, especially for Game Week 24. That's another reason why Game Week 24 is better. Both Man United and Chelsea get like their best fixtures from that point on. But I think even now, Brentford at home, we've seen Palmer do really well in that fixture before. Palace away. Palace have been really bad lately, and they might even lose Mark Gahey by the time that game comes around. And then West Ham at home, Wolves away. Like, the fixtures are just amazing. So I think a Chelsea player is something you want to have, and Palmer is really who you want to target, especially if you're wildcarding, because he's someone that is not going to be as easy to get for most people, unless you're selling Saka, for example. So I think Palmer is a really nice choice if you're on a wildcard. Of course, still some doubts with his like fitness. He doesn't seem like a player that can play 90 minutes in 3 games per week, which is why it's like a bit worrying, I guess, because he has still League Cup games, he has still league games, Champions League games. Like, there's still a lot of matches for Chelsea. So that's the one downside of Palmer, but I think he's just too good to pass up, really, in terms of his high potential. Like, he is someone that could all of a sudden score those 4 goals in the same game, as we've seen from him in the past. Like, that could happen any game now. So I feel like if I was wildcarding, I would just definitely get him in. He is also the most secure Chelsea player. Like even Enzo Fernandes, I'm not quite sure if he's going to start or not most games, but Palmer, if he's healthy and he hasn't played too many minutes the last few games, he's most likely going to start. It's probably going to be pretty easy to know when he's going to start at least. So yeah, Palmer, pretty good choice, especially with the good fixtures. And yeah, just Palmer being a really high upside player, I think that's just too much to pass up if you are wildcarding right now. So yeah, Palmer is a really good pick, but you could still wait for Game Week 24 if you're not on wildcard before you bring him in, just to see how Chelsea look under Liam Senior. That will be interesting to see for sure. Number 4, we have Declan Rice. He is way more of a certain pick. He's going to play most games for Arsenal, even though they also are playing in the League Cup and the FA Cup and the Champions League and the league. Like they're all in all fronts. They're doing really well. And Declan Rice is a big reason for that. He is such an amazing player. This season, he's been adding more goals and assists as well, which has always been like the one thing that like the likes of Roy Keane and Paul Scholes have said. Paul Scholes said that he preferred Tonali because he got more goals and assists, which is not true. But Rice has been really good in that regard, especially the assists from corners. Last game against Bournemouth as well, scoring twice. He's just an amazing player. One of my favorite players, of course. Probably my favorite player right now in the world as a West Ham fan who's just been singing his praises since like 2019. He's just amazing. So yeah, Declan Rice, even a good FPL option now, and I'm currently looking at bringing him in myself because, yeah, still beating myself up a bit from not having him all of this season when he's been the best midfielder in the game so far. But yeah, Declan Rice coming in at number 4. Number 5, we have Bruno Fernandes, another player who's also has really high upside, also been really good whenever he's been able to play. Of course, the fixtures aren't ideal, of course, with Man City at home and Arsenal away in the next 2, but the Man City game, anything can happen really. Arsenal, you could bench him if you want to, but after that, the fixtures are really good as well, at home to Fulham and at home to Spurs. So Fernandes, I think, is just a good option, especially now playing in the number 10 role, most likely, under Michael Carrick. I think that's going to be good for him. I'm like a little bit hesitant when it comes to him compared to someone like Mbeumo, who I was also considering here at the same position at 1 million cheaper. Might be better with Mbeumo, but I think Fernandes is just a more safe pick because he has those DEFCON points potential. He has the penalties. He just has more routes to points than Mbeumo. So I feel like he's just a more safe option, and you can always downgrade if it turns out that Mbeumo is going to be more beneficial or be more of a beneficiary of Michael Carrick's system, because Michael Carrick has been in charge of Man United in 3 games before. After Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacked in 2021, Carrick was in charge for 3 games, and Man United actually got 2 wins and 1 draw in those games against Arsenal, Chelsea, and Villarreal. This was during the time when Cristiano Ronaldo was part of the team, so Bruno Fernandes was a bit more muted in terms of his points contributions back then. But I think now with Carrick in place, also with Man United getting really good fixtures pretty soon, I think Fernandes is a really good choice, as he usually is whenever he's fit and ready to play. And he's been out injured lately, but now he's back and he's going to be really good at getting points in any which way, really. So yeah, he comes in at number 5. Number 6, we have Mukiele from Sunderland. He is also, of course, a really good player. He's quite a bit more expensive now. He's 4.4, so he's actually getting up in price a bit. But the fixtures are really good. Sunderland are still really good defensively. They still keep clean sheets. Mukiele is just such a good player overall, so I really like him as a pick in general, and he returns as the number 6 pick this time around. There are 2 other good Sunderland alternatives as well in the fence. You could go for a cheaper price, but I think Mukiele is just the safest, both in terms of DEFCON points potential, playing time, all of that stuff. If you have the money, which I have in this draft because it's not really the most expensive squad, Mukiele is just a better choice, I think, than the other 2, who I'll get to eventually. But yeah, Mukiele, good choice coming in at number 6. Number 7, we have Jurrien Timber. He is also like a good option for the Arsenal defense, basically, which is the best defense in the league. You could go a double Arsenal attack instead with Rice and Saka if you really want to attack the potential double game weeks in Game Week 26 or Game Week 27, which they might get now if they do go through in the League Cup. But I think Timber is just, someone that has been sort of underperforming, I think, this season in terms of points and stuff, because he is really offensive, gets a lot of big chances, he just keeps missing them. He's also someone that is, really attacking, still really good defensively, both in terms of in real life and in terms of FPL points. He's going to get points that way. I think he just has pretty decent points potential and a really high floor as well, because Arsenal are just a really good team, and the fixtures now aren't really the worst either for Arsenal. I think they have good chances of getting a lot of points in the next few game weeks. They've been through quite tough games now, and they've come through it with really good results. So I think they will kick on and be a really good team now, and I think Timber is my favorite 3rd Arsenal player. This is like the main team to have right now because they have really good fixtures. But of course, they're most likely going to be blank, and also because they're most likely going to be doubling in Game Week 26 or Game Week 27 as it stands right now. That's why you really want to have triple Arsenal right now. And I think Timber is the best third pick. But of course, for Game Week 31, which is still quite a long time into the future, they're going to probably blank if they go through against Chelsea in the Cup. That's not really a given, but I'm expecting that to happen. And if that's the case, they blank in Game Week 31 and they double in Game Week 26 or 27. And that's why you want 3 Arsenal players. And Timber is my favorite third option right now, but Saka is still a good option. Ødegaard, I think, is like an underrated option as well, and some people will have Raya already in their team, but I think Timber is just a better option if you're wildcarding right now. So yeah, he comes in at number 7 in this draft. Number 8, we have Kroupi Jr. for Bournemouth. Semenyo has left for Manchester City, and I think that opens the spot for Kroupi Jr. They might, of course, sign a new player, which would make Kroupi Jr.'s playing time a little bit less, but he's still just the 8th guy in attack, so you could just still have him on your bench if needed. The rest of the attack is pretty stacked right now, so I think he's just a nice backup option to have in case you want or in case you need him to play in some game weeks. So yeah, Kroupi Jr., he's just been really good. I think he has 7 Premier League goals so far this season. He's just really lethal whenever he gets a chance. And it seems like he's going to be getting more chances now with Semenyo gone. So I do quite like him as a really cheap, underpriced attacker, basically, who could take over as like the next Semenyo for Bournemouth as well. He has almost that potential. Semenyo is, of course, amazing. He's been really good at City as well. He's someone that I did actually consider in this draft, but Kroupi Jr. in his place at Bournemouth, I think it's going to be a good pick, especially for that cheap. So he comes in at number 8. Number 9, we have Ryan Cherki. Speaking of Man City, he is still my go-to City midfielder right now. Foden has been in pretty bad form, and Cherki, I think, I am a bit worried when it comes to playing time because Semenyo coming in, they have Doku coming back from injury. Of course, Reinders has been playing more. Cherki needs to play. Foden's playing. Bernardo Silva's playing. Rodri's back and playing. Haaland's playing every game. Like, they have so many options offensively, but I think Cherki just has such high upside. He just proved that now in the Cup. I just watched the game against Newcastle, and he just scored right at the end there, coming on as a sub. And he's been resting quite a lot lately, and I think he's going to be a preferred starting 11 option for Guardiola still. I think he's still going to be a starting player for them, even with full strength Semenyo and Doku in the side. I think Cherki is still the best option there in midfield, rather than Reinders, in my opinion. But yeah. Anyways, I think he's going to play most matches, and I think he's a really good option to have, especially for these next few fixtures before they get a bit of a tougher schedule, Man City. So Cherki is someone that I do quite like. I might be a bit too late on him because the new player with Semenyo coming in, the rotation risk, but I think he's still a good option right now for a pretty cheap price, a bit cheaper than Foden as well. And I think Foden also, for what it's worth, people are going with Foden because he's like less of a rotation risk, but I'm not quite too sure about that. I think Cherki might be playing like close to the same minutes as Foden. I think Foden might not be like the 90-minute man that he has been so far this season, because Semenyo is someone that can play on the left, can play on the right, can even play through the middle. So that's going to open up more rotation and probably more Pep roulette again, which has been a bit absent this season because Man City has basically just played the same 11 every single game, and that has cost them a little bit when it comes to injuries and stuff now, especially in defense. But attacking wise, I think they're still really good fixtures, and Cherki comes in at number 9 for that reason. Number 10, we have Thiago. It's a bit like, I feel like I sort of have to have him just because he's had 2 double-digit hauls in a row now. The fixtures just aren't that good though. Like 3 out of the next 4 are away from home for Brentford. The one home game is really good against Nottingham Forest. That is, of course, a fixture you really want him for, and that's why I still have him in the draft, I think. But Chelsea away, Aston Villa away, Newcastle away, not ideal for a striker, but he's just been in such good form. He's been having really good numbers. Brentford have been flying. They've been amazing. A large reason for that is Thiago, who a lot of us sold a couple game weeks back, and we're all damning the day that we did it. For what it's worth, I still think Ekitike was the right choice at the time, but I think selling your Thiago, of course, is something that is not ideal. So if you, for example, sold an attacker who was really cheap at that point and brought in a cheap midfielder instead and kept Thiago and kept Ekitike, or got Ekitike, kept Thiago and kept Haaland, I think that probably was the ideal route to go with. I wish I'd done that myself, but yeah, Thiago, I just feel like I need to have him, especially with that Nottingham Forest fixture coming right around the corner, but the fixtures aren't ideal either. So of course, he's someone that I would, of course, have and hold if I did have him already, but I'm a bit unsure about buying him. That's why he's coming in at number 10, despite being in such red-hot form and still having a really good fixture coming up soon. It's just long-term, the fixtures aren't that good for him. So that leaves me a bit more hesitant with him. But he's still in the squad, making it as the number 10 pick in this draft. Number 11, we have Bart Verbruggen still in goal, and I also still have Dubravka as the backup goalkeeper. I think these goalkeepers have been really good for me. Verbruggen has pretty good fixtures now going forward, and Brighton have been decent this season defensively, picking up some points here and there, and Verbruggen has been just a good goalkeeper overall. So yeah, just quite like this goalkeeper pairing. Is really cheap, and it's pretty productive. It's been really good for me since Wildcard in the Game Week 15. It's one of the major decisions that I actually got right. On my wildcard, it wasn't that many, but Verbruggen and Dubravka have been really good for me, and I think I would still go with them right now because they are just really cheap and really nice players to have in the squad. So yeah, they come in at number 11 and 12 for Verbruggen and Dubravka. Number 13, we have Morgan Rogers. I'm, of course, struggling a bit more with him. He's blanked, 4 game weeks in a row now. He was in really good form before that, but he's still one of the focal points in the Aston Villa attack. They have pretty good fixtures, especially this Everton at home fixture. Going to give him this one more chance to prove himself. But if he doesn't perform against Everton, he's probably out of the wildcard team at least, and I would potentially consider selling him as well in my own team. But I think for now, he just has that much high upside. He scored in the cup as well, of course. He is just a really good player who's really fun to watch. He's a nice player to have, and his form is just right around the corner as it was earlier in the season when a lot of people sold him. He started performing. He is that type of player. He is a bit of a troll in FPL, but he is, of course, a really good player, and Aston Villa are a really good team. And I think especially with that Everton fixture, you want him in for that game. But I was tempted to go with Watkins instead. Just go with Watkins and someone like Lewis Miley, for example, rather than Thiago and Rogers, because Watkins is one that you could just have for one game week and then sell him for Thiago next game week when he plays Nottingham Forest. But I figure I should just save myself some transfers in this wildcard draft because transfers are really going to be important to have some of them at least going forward, because there's going to be double game weeks. There's going to be a lot of changes you want to make eventually in these next few game weeks. So I think I would just want to save the transfers and have more long-term picks, and Rogers and Thiago are just better long-term picks for what it's worth right now. Rogers, bit up and down with him. His underlying numbers aren't the best, but that's always the case with Aston Villa players. They are kind of overachievers when it comes to XG. We've seen that the whole season. And there's a reason for that, because they are just really good players who can score from outside the box, which we've seen Rogers do several times. So yeah, he comes in at number 13 in this draft. Number 14, we have Senesi from Bournemouth. He's back again in the team. A DEFCON machine, of course, playing for a struggling Bournemouth defense, which is why I'm a bit hesitant with him. But when it comes to the fixtures, all the way up till game week 31, which is when you want to dead end into, and then wildcarding game week 32 most likely, Senesi has really good fixtures. Of course, if you're wildcarding now in game week 22, you won't be able to wildcard in game week 32, which is the ideal time to wildcard. So you have to do some changes, I guess, according to that. But it's still so many game weeks into the future that you don't really have to worry about that too much, but just have it in mind at least, especially with those end of bench players. Make sure that they play in the game weeks you need them to play, and basically if you are not if you are using a wildcard right now and you don't have it for the future. But Senesi, just good long-term fixtures. The immediate fixtures aren't the best, of course. Brighton away, Liverpool at home isn't the best. Wolves away, even now with Wolves getting in better form, it's still, of course, a good game. You would still start Senesi in that game, but it's not a given that they're going to get a clean sheet anymore against Wolves. But they aren't that good offensively. It's more defensively that they've taken a step up lately. Aston Villa as well, the fixtures immediately aren't the best. That's why he's number 14. But after that, the fixtures become really good. Senesi also just really reliable when it comes to DEFCON points. Also can get offensive returns, as we see in this past game week, got an assist, and he's just someone that is a pretty good passer, underrated in that regard as well. So he comes in at number 14 for those reasons. Number 15, we have still Mickey van de Ven. The next two fixtures are really good. West Ham at home and Burnley away. He's been really good the last few game weeks. I'm pretty happy that I have included him in the wildcard drafts because he's been getting a lot of points lately. But it's going to dry up, of course, after these next two games. That's why it's the number 15th pick. We could just move him on from that point onwards. But I just was looking for someone that I can have for the next few game weeks to be a good starter right now. And Van de Ven fits the bill basically as the 15th player in this squad, who's a good short-term pick, but not a good long-term pick, because Spurs, they are good defensively at least, but yeah, they're not the best, and they have some tough matches coming up after the next two, which are going to be good for them. But yeah, Van de Ven in at number 15, and we have a full 15-man squad. 3 of them are new since the last time. That is Timber, Senesi, and Fernandes, and that means 3 players have dropped out since last time. So let's talk about those guys before we talk about 3 players that were on the cusp, close to making the squad, but didn't. But yeah, first and foremost, the dropped players. We have Phil Foden. I just don't want to double up on the City midfield because, yeah, the rotation risk is a bit much, and Foden has not been in the best form lately. He is, of course, a good player who I would keep a key for the next few game weeks. I think Man United, Wolves, you could sell him for the game week after that because Fernandes and Palmer get really good fixtures in game week 24. But Foden is someone that I would not have on the wildcard. I think I would just be a bit preemptive and get both Palmer and Fernandes right now and save the transfer basically when it comes to Foden, because I think Palmer and Fernandes could score Foden in the next few game weeks as well. But yeah, he's just a bit too expensive, so I went with Cherki instead, and I felt like going triple Man City attack was just a bit too much right now, especially with them struggling a bit for goals, surprisingly. But I think with Semenyo in, that could be a change in that regard. But Semenyo is also someone that I would consider potentially, if you have him already. If you had him from the Bournemouth days, I would just keep him because he's looked really good so far for Man City. He could be an even better option now if he continues playing every game. But yeah, it's just the rotation risk that makes me a bit put off when it comes to Foden, because he is quite expensive compared to the others. So yeah, I dropped him since last time. Fofana as well, he's been out for the last few games for some reason, just a bit more unsure if he's going to be starting now under a senior and stuff. So just waiting and seeing what will happen with Chelsea. Still unsure what's going to happen with those players. I'm going to get to that on the Cusp section as well, because there are some good defenders there potentially, but you just need to know whether they start or not. And right now, Fofana just hasn't been starting. He's of course the one that has been being rested here and there as well. So he's not even the ideal pick in that regard. So yeah, Fofana does not come in at number 11. He did that last time, but now he's dropped out because I'm a bit unsure about the Chelsea defense right now. Cherki as well, just a bit too expensive. Michael Keane is now suspended. Brentford is still not back fully. Cherki just, yeah, like I said, too expensive for right now, but he is just a consistent DEFCON monster who's going to be a really good option eventually. That's why I had him in a couple of these last wildcard drafts, because Everton are going to be really good defensively once Brentford is back in that team. And once they get Idrissa Gana Gueye back from the African Cup of Nations, when they get Iliman and Jai back, they're going to be a much better team. But right now, they're really struggling, and I don't think Tarkowski is worth the money as it stands. So yeah, he's also dropped out since last time. Finally, the three players that were on the cusp: one defender, one midfielder, and one attacker. Before we end this video, basically. And I did say I was going to have a Chelsea defender, but I didn't actually. I had a couple workshopped, I guess, on the cusp defenders from Chelsea. Cucurella I thought about. He's a bit expensive, but at his best, of course, if he's playing that left wing back role now, he's going to be amazing. Yorel Hato as well, who's been playing in that left wing back role now in the absence of Cucurella. If he starts every game, he is 4.6 and really attacking potentially. He could be a nice option. And of course, you have the likes of Reece James and Chalobah as well as really good options there for Chelsea. But I'm actually going with Alderete. I think he could be a good supplement on top of having Mukiele. Like, I don't mind going with both of them and just having him as insurance. You don't have to start both of them every game week anyways. And Alderete is 4.1, really good value still. You could just go with Alderete rather than Mukiele as well to save money. You could also go with Reinildo from the same team. He's coming back from Africa Cup of Nations. He's 3.8, and he's played 90 minutes every single game he's been available for this season. So he is a pretty good candidate as well for a really cheap price. So you could go with Alderete or Reinildo even on top of Mukiele. You could go with Alderete and Reinildo, for example. I think there are plenty of ways to mix and match with the Sunderland defense that has been so much more valuable than the 4.0 price that they were set at the start of the season, as shown with Mukiele, who's risen in price for up until 4.4 right now. So yeah, Alderete is a good option. Enzo Fernandes, another player that I'm like a bit hesitant on when it comes to Chelsea and their new tactics. He might play as a number 10 now. He's been really good underlying stats the whole season. I don't have the best experience with him this season myself. Brought him in and he just like blanked pretty much every single game week except for one big score, but he's been really good lately again. And with a new manager, he might be unlocked offensively because he is quite a talented player and quite good at crashing into the box and scoring goals as well. So I do quite like Enzo Fernandes as a midfield option. And like I mentioned previously, Watkins as a striker is something that I did consider heavily because he's been in really good form lately, getting a lot of good underlying numbers as well, getting a lot of points in FPL. He's a good option, a really like differential option as well. So if you want to go with someone a bit different, a bit expensive, I think Watkins is a pretty good player to have rather than Rodgers potentially. But I think Rodgers is still the better value pick. But Watkins is the player that will get the more chances. So yeah, it's a bit like, yeah, you have to choose wisely who you want to have out of Rodgers or Watkins, or if you want to go without them completely, or if you want to double up, like all of them, all those options are on the table basically. But yeah. So Watkins is the final player that I did consider in attack, and that is the final player that I did consider overall, and the final player that I'm going to talk about in this video because we've come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Back again after like a bit of a break now, finally, after such a hectic schedule. I'm quite happy to just relax the last few days and now be back fully making videos again. Tomorrow I'm going to make, like I promised previously, the manager of the weeks or the manager of the week from Game Week 20. The two managers that I had from that game week, wasn't able to talk about that because there were so many game weeks in a row at that point, so I'm going to save them for a video tomorrow. I'm going to talk about their long-term future, how to plan from this game week onwards, Game Week 22 all the way to Game Week 31, looking at a wildcard in Game Week 32 most likely. I'm going to talk a bit about like chip strategy in that video. I'm going to talk about a couple teams and how I would progress with them, the two managers of the week in Game Week 20 and the manager of the week from Game Week 21. I'll talk about those teams in that video, which I think will be a pretty good one tomorrow basically. So yeah, look forward to that. And then after that, of course, we have the team section video on Friday. Plenty of things to look forward to. The FPL School podcast will be back eventually as well. So stay on the lookout for any FPL scope content. And the best way to do that is to subscribe, of course, like the video to help me in the algorithm, comment down below if you have any questions and stuff. And I think that's it from me in this video. Thank you for watching as always. See you next time. Bye bye.